The storm had arrived suddenly without warning. Dark clouds rolled across the sky, twisted with the strange colors of this alien planet. The wind howled, carrying fine red dust that cut against Alex Reed's skin. His small expedition tent shook violently with each gust, its thin fabric barely holding against the storm. He crouched low, gripping the sides, eyes scanning the horizon through a slit of clear plastic. Lightning danced across the sky, casting sharp shadows that made the barren landscape look like a world both beautiful and hostile. He had been alone for hours, securing his instruments and preparing for the worst. The planet designated Xylar 9 had been mapped in detail from orbit, but the reality of being here in the storm was far harsher than he had imagined. The red dust stung his skin, and the strange wetness that sometimes fell with the wind was cold and biting. He had almost accepted that this storm would pass like any other, leaving him to count the slow, long minutes in the harsh silence. Then, he saw her. Through the flickering shadows at the edge of the camp, a figure moved. At first he thought it was another member of his team, but the storm had forced them to stay back at the main base. Whoever or whatever this was, it walked forward with careful steps, almost like it feared the ground itself. Alex squinted. The figure was smaller than an adult human, delicate with a form he could not recognize immediately. Rain, or something like it, fell in thick drops. The figure was drenched. Her clothes clung to her body, shimmering strangely in the dim light, and her skin glistened as if the storm had painted her with liquid silver. She was beautiful, but in a way that made Alex's heart beat faster with both curiosity and caution. He had never seen anything like her. The woman stumbled as she approached the tent. Alex moved instinctively, opening the flap. The wind pushed her inside before she could even react. The warmth and dry air of the tent wrapped around her and she froze, dripping onto his sleeping bag and equipment. Alex took a step back, unsure how to respond. "Hey," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Are you okay?" She shook her head slowly, eyes wide and searching. Then in a voice so soft it almost blended with the storm, she whispered, "We've never known rain." Alex blinked. "You never?" he asked, unsure if he had heard correctly. Her gaze met his, and he realized she was not human. Her eyes were larger, a deep shade of violet that seemed to absorb the light around her. Her ears were pointed slightly, delicate, and her fingers ended in tiny, translucent tips that glowed faintly in the dim light. She looked around the tent as though she could not believe such a place existed. Alex swallowed. He had been trained for encounters with alien species, but this was different. This was not a first contact situation filled with formal gestures or cautious diplomacy. This was raw, immediate, personal. The woman's presence filled the tent like a living question, fragile and urgent. He moved closer carefully, holding out a blanket. "Here, take this." "You're wet," she hesitated, then accepted it. The fabric touched her shoulders, and for the first time, Alex saw a shiver run through her, one that had nothing to do with the cold. Her eyes flicked to him, a mixture of wonder and confusion, and for a moment he wondered if she could even speak his language. Rain?" she asked finally, testing the word on her tongue. "Yes," Alex said gently. "It's water falling from the sky. You've never felt it?" Her lips parted, then closed again. She shook her head. "Never." Alex felt a strange mixture of awe and responsibility. He realized that this storm, this ordinary natural event for humans, was extraordinary for her. Something that humans often took for granted, rain, water, the very experience of wetness, was a miracle to her. He knelt beside her, careful not to make sudden movements. "Then you've come a long way," he said. "You must be very far from home." Her gaze dropped to the wet ground beneath the tent. Her fingers brushed it tentatively, as if testing to see if it would harm her. A soft gasp escaped her lips. "Alive?" she whispered. "The ground alive?" Alex watched as she knelt slowly, letting her hands hover above the dirt. The storm had created small puddles where the rain mixed with the planet's red dust, and the water shimmered strangely, reflecting light in ways he had never seen. She traced the edges of a puddle with her fingers, and the water rippled, catching tiny flashes of color. "It's okay," Alex said softly. "The water isn't dangerous." She looked up at him, eyes wide with wonder. "Danger?" she asked. "No," he said. "It's safe. You're safe." The woman's shoulders relaxed just slightly, though her caution never fully left her. She stood slowly, and Alex noticed the symbols etched into her skin. They glowed faintly, like threads of light woven into her arms and neck. He had seen alien markings before, but these were different. They pulsed as if alive, reacting to her movement, her breathing, perhaps even the presence of the storm. "What are these?" Alex asked, pointing. She looked at her arms as if noticing them for the first time. "Memory," she whispered. "Old memory," Alex frowned. "Memory?" She nodded, stepping closer to the puddle again. Her fingers touched the water, and for the first time, the symbols along her skin glowed brighter. Alex's breath caught. Something about this interaction, her touch, the rain, the glowing marks, felt alive, almost as if the planet itself responded to her presence. "Who are you?" he asked carefully. She hesitated. "Leora," she said finally. "Leora," Alex repeated, testing the sound. "And your people? They've never felt rain before?" "No," she whispered. "Home dry. Dry like stone, water, life forgotten." Alex felt a lump in his throat. He had read about species that had adapted to extreme environments, but never had he imagined one that had evolved to completely avoid water. To see her, drenched yet unharmed, standing before him, filled with awe and wonder, was both terrifying and beautiful. He moved closer, kneeling beside the small puddle. "Then this is special," he said. "This rain." "It's the first you've known?" She nodded. Her eyes shone with something he could not name. Wonder, yes, but also sadness, longing, and perhaps relief. Alex wanted to ask so many questions, but he realized the first priority was simple: warmth, shelter, and trust. He pulled a dry cloth from his bag and gently patted her hair. She flinched slightly at the human touch, but did not pull away. It was a start. As the storm continued to rage outside, Alex moved quietly around the tent, securing his instruments and keeping an eye on her. He noticed she was studying everything. The small digital instruments, the maps spread across the table, even the simple cot in the corner. Every object seemed foreign, every human tool a small miracle to her. Finally, she spoke again, almost to herself. "Alive. All alive. Water. Remembers." Alex frowned. "Water remembers?" She nodded slowly. "Old memory. Old life. Rain. Awakens." He was beginning to understand. This was more than just a lost alien far from home. This was a being whose biology, whose very essence had been dormant, waiting for this moment, the first touch of water in her life. The storm outside, violent and ordinary to humans, had become a catalyst for something extraordinary. Alex moved closer again, his curiosity stronger than caution now. "Leora, why are you here? How did you survive the storm?" She looked at him, eyes wide and earnest. "Sent guardian," she said. "Home, danger, sent to learn, to find." Her words trailed off as if she were translating thoughts that had no direct human meaning. Alex nodded slowly. He did not need the full explanation to sense the gravity of her presence. She was not here by accident. Something, or someone, had sent her, and whatever it was, it carried purpose and urgency. The storm outside was beginning to fade, though the clouds remained heavy and dark. The tent was warm and quiet now, except for the drip of water from her hair and the occasional rumble of distant lightning. Alex looked at her and realized that in this strange, dangerous place a bond was forming, not just of survival, but of understanding. She stepped closer to him, hesitated, then whispered again. "Awaken!" Alex froze. The word was soft, almost melodic, but it carried weight. It was not a greeting, not a request. It was a command, a message, something he could not yet comprehend. Outside, the storm's roar diminished. Inside, the small tent held two beings from different worlds staring at one another. One had seen life and water all his life. The other had never known either. And yet, in this shared space, a bridge had begun to form. Alex knew the coming hours would be crucial. He had to understand her, protect her, and perhaps even help her awaken whatever memory or power lay dormant in her. And as he looked at the glowing symbols on her arms, pulsing faintly in the dim light, he realized one thing clearly. This storm was not over, not for the planet, not for him, and not for the mysterious girl who had stepped into his life. The storm had passed, leaving the alien landscape slick and glistening under a pale sun. The red dust had been washed away in patches, revealing the dark soil beneath. Alex Reed stepped out of his tent, cautious, scanning the horizon. Every detail of the planet now seemed sharper, clearer. The wind was soft, carrying the distant echo of thunder from the fading storm clouds. Leora followed him silently, her small feet leaving tiny glowing impressions on the wet ground. She moved with a cautious curiosity, eyes wide as she observed every puddle and every ripple of water. To her, this was a world she had never imagined. A world where water touched the soil, where the air itself could carry life. Alex knelt beside one of the puddles. "See this?" he said gently. "It's just water, but it can help life grow." She knelt as well, her fingers hovering above the puddle. "Grow?" she asked, voice soft. "Life awake?" "Yes," Alex said. "Plants, soil, even your own body. Water can help life awaken. It's why rain is important." Her eyes widened. She bent closer, letting her fingers dip into the water. As she touched it, the puddle shimmered strangely, the light bending around her glowing fingertips. Alex gasped. The symbols along her arms pulsed brighter now, responding to her movement, to the water, to the environment itself. It was almost as if she were connected to the planet in a way humans could not yet understand. She looked at Alex, eyes filled with awe and wonder. "Alive," she whispered. "All alive." Alex nodded slowly. "Yes, and you can feel it. You're special, Leora. I think your people have something dormant, something powerful." She turned her gaze to him. "Power, awaken?" "I think so," Alex replied. "And maybe it's tied to the water, to the rain. That's why you've come here. You need to be here, now." Leora studied the puddles, her fingers trailing through them, leaving tiny patterns of glowing light. Alex realized these patterns were not random. Wherever her hands moved, life seemed to respond. Tiny plants began to sprout from the soil, glowing faintly as if recognizing her touch. He had never seen anything like it. Suddenly, a movement caught his eye. Other members of the expedition had arrived, drawn by the fading storm and the strange lights around the camp. They froze when they saw Leora. Their expressions were a mix of disbelief and fear. "Captain Reed," one of them called. "What is that? Who is she?" Alex stepped forward protectively. "She's not a threat," he said firmly. "Her name is Leora. She's special. We need to help her, understand her." The others exchanged uneasy glances, but Alex's authority kept them from acting hastily. He turned back to Leora. "It's okay," he said softly. "They just want to understand." She nodded, but her eyes remained wary. Alex could feel her hesitation, the unspoken question of whether humans could be trusted. He moved closer, putting a gentle hand near hers. "I'll protect you," he whispered. For a moment she stared at his hand, then slowly placed hers near it. The glow of her symbols brightened slightly as their hands hovered close. Alex felt a strange warmth, not from physical touch alone, but from a connection that seemed deeper, almost instinctual. "We must show them," Alex said, turning to his team. "Leora can help us learn about this planet. She can teach us things we can't even imagine." The humans hesitated, unsure how to react. But Alex led Leora toward a small patch of land where the rain had pooled. "Watch this," he said. Leora touched the water. She bent carefully, fingers barely brushing the surface. The water shimmered brightly. Tiny sprouts of green pushed through the soil, growing rapidly, bending toward the light. The other humans gasped. Some stepped back, shielding their eyes from the strange glow. She's making life grow," one of them whispered. Alex nodded. "Yes, and we need to learn how without harming her. This could be the key to understanding how life spreads across planets, how we survive in hostile worlds." Leora looked at him, her violet eyes shining. Learn?" she asked. "Yes," Alex said. "We learn from each other. I'll show you our ways. You'll show us yours." Over the next few hours, Alex and his team worked carefully with Leora. She moved slowly, touching puddles, observing plants, and reacting to the environment. Each time she did, the symbols on her skin pulsed and small bursts of life appeared in her path. Alex realized her species had a deep instinctive connection to planetary ecosystems, a connection humans had never seen before. By evening, the sun had begun to set. The storm clouds parted completely, leaving a soft, glowing sky. The wet soil reflected the fading light, and small patches of green spread across the campsite where Leora had walked. Alex sat back, exhausted but exhilarated. "She's incredible," one of the team members whispered. Alex nodded. "Yes, and we need to protect her. Whatever danger brought her here could still be coming." Leora sat quietly beside him, watching the plants grow. She seemed tired but peaceful. "Home? Danger?" she asked softly. "Yes," Alex replied. "That's why you're here. We need to find a way to help your people survive. This planet, this rain, it could be the beginning of something important." She looked up at him, eyes full of trust. "Together?" "Together," Alex said. Over the next days, they explored the area, discovering hidden springs and small streams beneath the surface. Each time Leora touched the water, life responded. Tiny flowers bloomed, algae spread, and small glowing creatures emerged from the soil. Alex documented everything, understanding more each day about how her species interacted with the planet. One evening, as they rested by a spring, Leora touched the water, and a sudden vision passed through her eyes. The symbols on her skin glowed intensely, and Alex saw her body tremble slightly. He realized the vision was not just in her mind, it was connected to the planet. "What is it?" he asked gently. She looked at him, eyes wide and shining. "Memory, old life, our people, water." Remember, Alex understood then. Leora's species had lost the memory of water over generations, but her contact with this planet had awakened it. The rain, the soil, the springs, it was not just water. It was life itself, remembered and reborn. The humans watched in awe as she moved through the area, leaving trails of growth in her wake. Alex realized that the storm had been more than a simple weather event. It had been a catalyst. It had brought her here, awakened her abilities, and connected her to the planet in a way that could change the future for both her species and humanity. Days passed, and Alex and Leora grew closer. They communicated more easily now, sharing simple ideas, teaching each other words and gestures. She learned to understand human tools, while he learned to see the planet through her eyes. Every puddle, every stream, every drop of rain was a miracle to her, and every moment spent with her was a lesson in wonder for him. One morning, as the sun rose over the wet landscape, Leora stood by a small pond, touching the water with both hands. Tiny plants and flowers bloomed instantly, creating a patch of green in the barren world. She turned to Alex, her eyes shining with a soft light. "Life. Awake," she whispered. "Yes," Alex said. "All alive. And we'll help each other." She nodded. "Together, survive." "Remember," Alex smiled. "Yes. Remember, and build a future." As they stood together, the sun reflecting off the wet soil, Alex realized something profound. Humanity had reached this distant planet, facing storms and danger. But it was not just technology or strength that mattered. Compassion, understanding, and the courage to trust someone entirely different were what truly defined them. Leora looked at the sky, raindrops still falling softly from clouds high above. She smiled, the first real smile he had seen on her face. "Rain, life, hope," she whispered. Alex watched her, feeling a sense of awe he could not put into words. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, both from the planet and from the unknown dangers that had sent her here, they would face them together. Humanity had arrived not just to explore, but to connect, to protect, and to learn. And through that connection, life itself could flourish in ways no one had imagined. The storm had passed. The world was wet, alive, and full of possibilities. And in the small corner of Xylar 9, a human and an alien girl stood side by side, ready to face the future together. The wind carried a soft whisper across the pond. Life remembers, it seemed to say, and Alex knew it was true, for the planet, for Leora, and for humanity itself.